It's truly remarkable what we've just witnessed over the last few weeks. It's still sinking in. India's empire at home has collapsed, and it's New Zealand who've managed to do the unthinkable. Is it fair to say unthinkable, Ross Taylor, a man who's spent the dressing room and shared the dressing room with so many of these players that have achieved history? 5 tours to India. It was so hard in your time, Ross, to conquer India. And it seems like Tom Latham and the rest of the guys have done it so easily. What was your reaction when it happened?
Yeah, I think like the most of the country, we were in awe of the team. I think the way they played throughout this whole series, I think we hoped more than thought that we were going to win. But to be a clean sweep, the way that the New Zealand public has reacted, I think even the New Zealand public, it still probably hasn't sunk in as much as probably it is for the players as well.
Since it's been a day now and we've seen the series being sealed in the second test, give me a sense of what that reaction has been like, what this series has done for this, the stature of New Zealand's test team back home with the cricket loving public.
Yeah, I mean, it's like anything. Cricket is fighting for an audience. Rugby, a Rugby Nation, Rugby League, now an extra football team in our local competition. Cricket's, obviously losing to Sri Lanka, the press going over there, I think that's completely changed around and justifiably so. I think, probably haven't seen scenes like this since winning the Test Championship. And I think, just shows you how high the New Zealand public see this Indian cricket team and what it's like to play over there. I think after winning that first game, I think that gave a belief not only to the team, but to the public. But I don't think even in our wildest dreams that we would have seen a whitewash and a convincing performance from Tom, Gary and the boys.
Yeah, let's try and figure out how New Zealand have managed this. And my chats with Shane Bond yesterday, he said they came with a clear template, a clear plan to win. And I'd like for you to perhaps talk us through whether that template was being built over the experience of the many tours that you were part of, where New Zealand came here and we saw the strength of this Indian team. What do you sense they worked towards? What was that template, and how did they manage to do an India on India?
Yeah, well, I mean, as I said, I spoke about Sri Lanka before. What I find when I was playing a New Zealand team that had nothing to lose, and everyone writing them off as a dangerous New Zealand team, and I think that's where the New Zealand team was at the start of this series. Obviously, you come in and play India on their conditions after being completely outplayed in Sri Lanka. Probably only the players in that dressing room and the support staff were the ones that gave themselves a chance. And I think anytime you give New Zealand expectation to do well is something that I think we have struggled with in the past, where we went there, Bangalore. You need a bit of luck, and we had that with I think it was a good toss to lose in Bangalore and then winning those two that we knew after New Zealand winning the first one that they were going to spin. But no, I think I agree with what Shane said. But I think a New Zealand team that's got their backs against the wall and got nothing to lose is a pretty dangerous side.
I think it's fair to say that as well as the bowlers bowled in Bangalore in that first innings and the spinners, it was quite something to see the way New Zealand batted. And that seems to be the challenge for a lot of touring teams to India. Can you bat better than India? And Will Young, my named player of the series yesterday, in the absence of Kane, Williamson, Rachin, Devon, Conway, they all did their job. But Will Young is someone I'd like for you to just speak on a little more on how he's batted, what's worked for him. What do you think stands out about Will Young?
Yeah, I know. I think throughout the whole series, the batters batted well and they contributed at different times, all of them. But Will, I think he probably trusted his defence a little bit more than all of the players, and he looked at ease. I think, when you're coming up against Jadeja and Ashwin, you can sort of put them on a pedestal and try and survive. I think we tried to hit 360, and I think the way that all the batters reverse swept, they weren't able to settle on a length, which when you do let them bowl, over after over in that same spot, you're going to have a ball on their name. But I think the way that Will Young set the tone, a lot's been made of it, but we won 3-0 without Kane Williamson, the premier batter. Will Young, it's intimidating to come and fill those big shoes, but I thought he did it fantastically well, a calm manner, and I think it would have been easy to have given it to someone else. So I think from a purely batting point of view, I think it was a fantastic accolade for him to win a man of the series after the bowlers dominated so well.
Let's talk a bit about Gary Stead over here. There was talk ahead of this series with the results in the T20 World Cup and the Sri Lanka tests, people calling for a sacking. He's been a long time servant of New Zealand cricket, sits in the background, doesn't get the accolades coaches in our part of the world get. But what does this mean for him? And since you spent so much time with him, tell me a little more about what is Gary Stead's way of doing things.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously the way him and Tom Latham, they have a good rapport together, and Gary's been around. He's obviously we were outplayed on the last trip, but he would have learnt things about how he wanted to go about it. And as you said, he's quiet, unassuming, sits in the background. But no, he would have had a big influence on the way the team prepared, giving Tom some ideas along the way. But, not only Gary, but you've got a pretty accomplished support staff there that would have had, a lot of influence, Jacob Oram, Luke Ronke and co to come on. So, he's definitely a lot of people were calling for his head, and I think this will, keep them quiet for a good 6 to 12 months, I would think.
Pretty good start for Tom Latham, the captain as well. And what we were observing through the series was how tactically as well, at times, or maybe throughout the series, New Zealand were outsmarting India. We were being critical of Rohit Sharma, a number of periods of play where the game was perhaps drifting. On the other hand, looked like Tom Latham had everything spot on. What does that tell you?
Yeah, well, I mean, apart from Kane Williamson and Tim Southee losing the captaincy of Tom, it's the same team that lost to Sri Lanka. So there was something that to be said about that. Once again, not a calming influence. I think the leadership will improve his batting, and we saw glimpses of that. But no, I think there's an attacking nature to Tom, and I think he's had a lot of captaincy experience. He's captained the New Zealand team in all three formats of the game, so it's not as if it's just come to him overnight. But I think all those games over the last 3 to 5 years that he has captained, I think came to the fore, and he was able to show not only his attacking nature, but just disciplined and as you said, I think the way he rotated his bowlers, we outfielded, outbatted, and outbowled, but I think we definitely our tactics were better than India as well.
At a time where a lot of established cricketers are understandably opting out of central contracts to have this kind of series, to have young players perform, what do you think this does for red ball cricketers from New Zealand going forward? What do you think it does just for the status of Test cricket?
Oh, I mean, we're coming up to a big period in our cricket, to be honest. I think, players are going to head away after this England series. And that England series is going to be massive. So I think it still puts Test cricket up there as the ultimate. And it just shows you, I think, if you look at the crowds for these next three games, New Zealand, England, it's going to be something that we haven't seen for a long period of time in our Test cricket history. And that's a testament to the team, but also a testament to where I think Test cricket is still held around the world. But no, I think, hopefully this is a good sign for young players that they still want to play Test cricket in the years to come. But we don't have the resources and the money that some of the other teams do. So we have to skin the cat differently. And, series like these, I think, just probably put it out there even more so that Test cricket and to these players is still the ultimate.
Is this the greatest series win for New Zealand in Test cricket?
Oh, it has to be. No one's done it. South Africa have won a 2-match series, 2-0, but to win 3-0, I think this surpasses the 2-1 Test victory in the 80s against Australia. 3-0 in India. I don't think anyone would have seen it at the start, but it's great for Test cricket also too. I think having these competitions and people knocking it off, and I'm sure the next team that does travel to India will travel there with a little bit more confidence. But I'm sure India are a proud nation, and they won't be they'll be trying their hardest to rectify this. I'm sure of that.